What's up, YouTube? We back with another review. Today we gonna be reviewing Gachiakuta episode 23. Let's get it. So we start off with a quick recap on how the cleaners defeated the imitation trash beast. And after the anime highlights the most craziest parts of their successful mission, we move forth a little. All the cleaners would be on the ground, but they succumb to exhaustion from the mission. Hilariously, Rudo just says he wants sweets. And as we end the scene, suddenly in the distance, we see the cleaner comrades approaching in their convoy of trucks. Afterwards, we move to the next scene. A group of the cleaners are saying that they wish they had arrived earlier, things wouldn't be so bad. Continuing along, the cleaners that just had arrived on the scene had found out that the raiders were trying to make an imitation trash beast. They grow furious. They're confused. They like, how did they do that? Soon after, they would get their answer. The cleaner Guta explains to them that the imitation trash beast came from a failure that Zordel, the Raiders' boss, had when he was trying to make an entry into the Watchmen series. After receiving the information, they're all shocked. They all come together and say they don't know a lot, but what they can guess is that they'll try to make more imitation trash beasts, so they all agree to keep their eyes closed on all Raider activities. Continuing on, the anime goes to Rudo. He's sad. He's saying, man, can we stop with the deep thinking? Rudo says he just wants some sugar inside of him. And as he gets more into his feelings, he says, I just want to enjoy the safety I found. He's exhausted. He don't want to fight anymore. As we continue, as the cleaners travel around town, they run into a bad actor. He hides behind a wall. And just when they get close enough, he jumps out in front of them. He tries to scam and act like they've hit him. But this finesse wouldn't work. Instead, the cleaners troll him. Inji then refers him to the crazy doctor that they know, Alice. Soon after the funny cutscene, we move along. As the cleaners continue driving back to the headquarters, Delman and Injin start to argue. Delman says he drives terrible. Injin hilariously disagrees and says, I just don't drive slow like grease. After the crazy back and forth, we continue along. The cleaners find themselves back at the headquarters. Rudo's anxious and nervous, and that's because he's going to visit Zonka, who's injured. He doesn't know how to approach him. He then tells the rest of the cleaners, should I give him flowers while he's down? The cleaners are thrown off. They don't understand what he means by this. And they explain to him flowers are valuable on the ground, unlike in the spear. After going on and on, they finally come up with a plan. They agree to go buy fake flowers. Rudo in his head starts to feel guilty. He feels like he's pushing spear culture on them. And as he looks at the door to Zonka's room, he starts to ask the rest of the cleaners, wait, how hurt is he? They then explain to him that because of Jabba's poison, he's hurt very bad. And not only that, they don't know what type of poison Jabba used on him. So even with the help of their healers, he wasn't able to fully recover. But the good thing is that the poison wasn't fatal. But the cleaners explained to Rudo that out of all the cleaners, he was hurt the most. And judging how bad he got beat up, it might hurt his self-esteem. Rudo thinks to himself, man, I should plan this out better. Maybe I should do this another time. Engineers Rudo, and hilariously, the cleaners would then shove him through the door, forcing him to see Zonka. As Rudo arrives in the room, he looks at Zonka. He's shocked at his demeanor. He's relaxed, calm, as if nothing happened. They eventually leave the room. Engine then explains to Rudo, he says, Zonka's not from the slums, or he hasn't faced depression in his life, but he's battled through his own adversity where he comes from. The anime then highlights one of Zonka's lowest moments in his life, and how he fought hard to get out of this situation. Engine then tells Rudo, he says, I believe in Engine. He'll become more than a genius. He'll become stronger. As we move along to the next scene, Engine will get a call from Simiyu, the receptionist at the cleaner's headquarters. And to their surprise, it's about Remlin, the spellcaster. She would admit to doing a prank on Zonka, putting the wrong spell on him. And as she feels guilt and she feels shame, Zonka surprisingly laughs at the situation. He tells her the spell is just for insurance. I don't rely on it. I should have done better in the fight. He takes full responsibility like a man. Rudo is shocked, and after them having a little one-on-one talk, Rudo gains so much more appreciation for him. Moving along, Inja would then have his one-on-one with Zonka. He explained to Zonka that Rudo wants to have fun and get his revenge with them. Zonka thinks he's looking down on them and he should take things more serious. They're fighting for their lives. Zonka then says he don't know if it was good or bad for Rudo that they didn't cross the border. Engine says, well, we here and we're alive. That's all that matters. Engine also hints that he don't think that they were the main targets of the Raiders. But he says if they're making imitation trash beasts, we'll have to deal with them with Rudo or not. Zonka replies and says No matter how it go, I'll get stronger. He then goes along and starts to talk about the importance for Rudo to remember his main goal. And as he's letting off this serious speech, he looks over and hilariously Engines fell asleep. Soon after we would get to the final scene, Zordo, the Raiders' boss, explains to the rest of the guys that their experiment was a success. He says, yeah, we lost a couple members and the trash beast, but he said the main goal was to see if we could cross the border and come back alive. He tells his comrades they made it back alive. Mission success. The Raider Bundus interrupts and says, wait, I thought you were the type of person that wanted things to go more according to plan. Zordo says, hey, you can learn from failed experiments. And as we continue, Zordo drops a bomb. He says, we already have a second trash beast. We just have to make it better. Continuing along, they would reminisce on their fallen comrades. Soon we get to the final scene of the anime. Zordo gives Bundus a mysterious artifact. But not only that, he promotes him to be on the front lines for the Raiders. He accepts. He would then get his first task, and this would be to find the person that makes the chokers, the communication device for the cleaners. Zordo thinks he has a piece of the Watchmen series also. Bundus interrupts and says, wait, since you want the Watchmen series so bad, why did you let them keep the boots? Zordo says, we know they're the ones who have it. It's no problem. We can find them at any time. After he lets out his final manifesto, he says, we are the Raiders. We'll search the ground for every part of the Watchmen series, and with this power, we'll make it to the spear.